I want to follow on some of the comments and thought process from Mr. Higgins, my friend, with respect to China and this very interesting, I have a hard time describing, quite frankly, the relationship we have with them. I come from one of the world's largest agriculture production centers, oil and gas, energy in general. I know how big and seductive their market is, but I've just got a few questions to sort this out in my head. I just seem to always be perplexed by this conundrum. Mr. Goodman, is China one of the worst human rights violators in the world community?
China's human rights are atrocious.
Atrocious. Does China steal our intellectual property, as has been reported, force some of these transfer agreements, et cetera? Do they steal our intellectual property?
Yes, that's been a central part of their development strategy.
Do they spy on Americans?
Yes.
Do they align with other malign actors, other countries that don't share our values and would probably be considered adversaries of the United States and our allies around the world?
Yes.
Do you think China is our greatest adversarial threat?
I think there's no question it's our biggest competitor and challenger, and in some cases an adversary that we could become enmeshed in serious problems with. And so it's yes, it's a generational challenge.
Are they a partner?
Not right now, but we do depend on them. The reality is we depend on their market. We depend on their inputs for, as I mentioned, everything we're looking at has some China nexus. And we do need to talk to them, in part to avoid any miscalculation, misunderstanding, but also to talk about issues that affect everybody, pandemics, environmental challenges, terrorism, proliferation. There are many issues that we need to talk to them about.
It seems to be quite a precarious situation to answer the first set of questions in the way I would have answered them as well, and I suspect most of the panel would have answered. And then when asked about their partnership, the response was, well, we need them. I'd say maybe the greatest challenge for one of the greatest challenges for our country, not just this committee, is to need China less until China changes its behavior. If that's possible, we thought it would be possible when we welcomed them to the World Trade Organization table. Mr. Greer, I was very impressed with Mr. Lighthizer and you and your team. I believe my Democrat colleagues are every bit as interested in continuing the good work we did with USMCA and having this free trade framework that we can then take throughout the world. We need to enforce it, and we need to replicate it, especially in the Indo-Pacific area, as has been discussed. But it seems like the missing piece is having a president that is very assertive and has made this issue of trade a priority. When it comes to negotiating with China, I think we were all pretty stunned that we were able to get to these purchase agreements and these structural reforms like phase one. What is the psychology of negotiating with China? Just for the benefit of this committee, if the president were listening, how do we approach China to best undo some of the things we need to undo in terms of supply chain dependence, and then forge forward with enforcing some of the agreements we have and then beyond? And then I yield back after your response.
We have a saying in the United States where good fences make good neighbors. and I don't know if we'll ever be good neighbors with China, but we found that they really respected strong action and not as much hot rhetoric, right? I mean, I think sometimes we get those reversed. I think sometimes we pound our fist and decry things that deserve to be decried, but then we don't take action. I think actually the reverse works a lot better with the Chinese, is to be polite, be respectful, talk to them, consult with them, and take really strong action. They did not think that we were going to impose tariffs on them, and then we did. And then they didn't think we were going to do it again, and then we did. And then they came to the table.